violations. And we would like to thank the High Commissioner for his update and the monitoring mission for their tireless work. Let me assure you that politically and financially, Germany remains a steadfast supporter of that mission. Some 500 days ago, Russia sent the world into turmoil. Its war of aggression against Ukraine is a war against a sovereign state and, let us not forget, a violation of the UN Charter of our most fundamental values and principles, causing a global food and energy crisis. And its effects are being felt around the world, but particularly by the most vulnerable. Therefore, the Black Sea Grain Initiative must be continued. Russia must not stop the Black Sea Grain Initiative, because the export of grain to the harbors of this world is a matter of life and death. We stand in solidarity with Ukraine and its people. The only way to stop the systematic human rights violations in Ukraine committed by Russia is for Russia to end its war of aggression now. There can be no impunity for atrocities committed in Ukraine. I thank you.
Merci, et je passe la parole au distingué représentant de la Lituanie.
Thank you, Mr. Vice President. Lithuania aligns itself with the EU and the Nordic-Baltic statements. We thank the High Commissioner for the oral update and the UN Human Rights Monitoring missions for its work on the ground. Russia's war of aggression against Ukraine continues to bring destruction and suffering to civilians, including by recent deliberate targeting of the Novakakhovka Dam by the Russian forces, forcing thousands to flee. OECHR's continuous work evaluating the situation and gathering evidence is very important. Therefore, it is crucial that the OECHR and other human rights mechanisms have safe and unfettered access to Crimea and other territories of Ukraine temporarily occupied by the Russian Federation. We appreciate the OECHR's recent report on arbitrary detention that reveals the scale of this unacceptable practice, as well as further human rights violations, including torture, ill treatment, and enforced disappearances. We also note with great concern the incidents documented by the Office of Forcible Transfers or Deportations, including of Ukrainian children, and call for their immediate return. We stress once again that the accountability for all violations of international human rights law and international humanitarian law, as well as for the crime of aggression, is key for bringing justice for victims and preventing further violations. Mr. High Commissioner, how could we mitigate the negative effects of human rights resulting from attacks on civilian infrastructure? Thank you.
Merci. Je passe la parole au distingué représentant de la République de Corée.
Thank you, Mr. Vice President. The Republic of Korea thanks the High Commissioner for his update. Amid Russia's illegal war against Ukraine, my delegation remains deeply concerned by the ongoing human rights violations and the lack of accountability. We are particularly troubled by the report's findings of arbitrary detention of civilians, deportation of conflict-related detainees, enforced disappearance, and the use of widespread torture and ill treatment. We urge Russia to put an end to attacks against the civilians and civilian infrastructure, to respect its obligations under international law, including international human rights and humanitarian law, and to release all those arbitrarily detained. Mr. Vice President, investigating all human rights violations is key to